Imagine this. You wake up, same as yesterday. You're someone with a conscience, someone who's been told you're good. You've never hurt anyone. You say please and thank you. You hold doors open. You post quotes about kindness. You think you know yourself. And then one day, you're given a choice. Not a dramatic, obvious one. Not a gun to someone's head. No blood, no chaos. Just a small decision. Press a button, sign a paper, look the other way, follow the rules, and someone suffers. You're told, it's protocol. You're told, don't overthink it. You're told, everyone else did it. And something inside you hesitates, then obeys. That's how it begins. Not with evil intentions, not with rage, but with obedience. A silent compromise, a quiet betrayal of something you thought was unshakable, your own morality. This isn't a thought experiment, it's history, it's psychology, it's you. In 1971, a group of college students were divided into guards and prisoners. Within days, the guards, students just like you, were abusing the prisoners, not because they were told to, but because the environment allowed them to, because the system encouraged them, because the mask of goodness slipped, and what was underneath shocked everyone. This was Zimbardo's Stanford Prison Experiment, and what it revealed is a truth most people still run from. The line between good and evil is not drawn between people. It runs through every human heart. You want to believe you're better, that monsters are out there, that if you were in Nazi Germany, you'd hide the persecuted, that if you were in Rwanda, you'd speak out, that if you were a prison guard, you'd quit the job. But the truth, you don't know, because morality isn't what you think. It's not a fixed trait. It's not who you are when life is comfortable. It's who you are when power is offered, when fear is real, when obedience is safer than defiance, when no one is watching, when someone tells you it's just your job. And here's the most terrifying part. You might not even realize what you've become until it's too late. Evil doesn't scream, it whispers. It tells you you're still good, that this is normal, that you're just doing what everyone else is doing. The dissent is subtle, a shift in language, a justification here, a silence there, 1,000 micro decisions that take you from who you were to who you never thought you'd be. Zimbardo called it the Lucifer effect, the process by which good people are transformed into agents of cruelty, often by nothing more than the situation they're placed in. And right now, whether you see it or not, that process is still happening. At work, online, in politics, in the quiet corners of your personal life. This video is not a history lesson, it's a warning. Because if you don't understand how this transformation works, you won't see it coming, not in others, and not in yourself. Over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through the 5 invisible forces that turn kindness into compliance, and compliance into cruelty. You'll see how easy it is to slide, to justify, to obey, until you've crossed a line you swore you never would. And by the end, you'll realize the most dangerous sentence a person can say is, I would never do that. Because the moment you believe you're immune is the moment you stop paying attention. And that's when the descent begins. 1. Moral erosion, the first quiet collapse. No one wakes up and chooses to become cruel. That's not how it works. The real danger lies in how easy it is to drift, not leap, drift. One day you bend a rule, just a little, justified of course, then another. It's convenient, maybe even necessary. No one gets hurt, and if they do, it's not your fault. That's how morality begins to erode, not with a bang, but with a whisper. The voice that says, "It's just this once. It's for the greater good. You had no choice." Cognitive dissonance kicks in. That mental discomfort you feel when your actions betray your values. It needs resolution. But instead of changing the behavior, you rewrite the story. You make yourself the hero, the victim, the one with no other option, and you feel okay again for a while. Psychologists call this the foot in the door effect. If someone agrees to a small, unethical act, they're more likely to agree to a larger one next. That's how corruption begins. That's how cruelty becomes policy. That's how people find themselves doing things they swore they never would, and feeling oddly justified the whole time. It starts with a lie, a secret, a silence. It starts with bending a rule for someone you love. It starts with looking the other way, because speaking up might cost you. History is filled with crimes that began this way. Watergate, Enron, Abu Ghraib, Nazi Germany. Ordinary people doing ordinary jobs, filing paperwork, approving forms, turning keys, each one thinking, "I'm not responsible." But every step paved the way. The scariest part? Nothing feels wrong at first. That's the real trap. You cross a line and survive, and then you cross another, and soon, what once shocked you becomes routine. The line doesn't move. You do. And if you don't stop to ask, "What am I becoming?" you may not notice until it's too late. 2. Obedience to authority, the disguise of duty. In the early 1960s, Stanley Milgram conducted a psychological experiment that changed everything we thought we knew about morality. Participants were told to deliver electric shocks to a stranger for every wrong answer. The stranger wasn't real. It was a setup. But the participants didn't know that. The screams, the begging, the silence, all part of the script. And yet, 65% of people delivered the maximum voltage, believing they may have killed someone, simply because a man in a white lab coat told them to. They weren't psychopaths. They weren't soldiers. They were teachers, barbers, accountants, people like you. Milgram's experiment revealed something terrifying. When authority speaks, conscience often goes silent. We are trained from childhood to obey. Parents, teachers, bosses, policemen, priests, doctors, presidents. The very structure of society rewards obedience and punishes defiance. It feels safe. It feels moral. But it isn't always. Zimbardo's Stanford Prison Experiment proved it again. Guards, students just like you, became sadistic without orders. All it took was a uniform, a role, a little power, and no consequences. Obedience is the perfect disguise for evil, because when someone else tells you what to do, you stop feeling responsible. You tell yourself, "It's their call. I'm just following orders. I don't make the rules." But you do make the choice. Every time. The danger isn't in authority. It's in the silence it creates inside you. The next time someone tells you to stay quiet, to follow the line, to do what's expected, stop. Ask yourself, would I still do this if no one told me to? Would I still be proud of this if history remembered my name? Because in the end, it won't matter who gave the order. It will matter who obeyed. 3. Group identity, the us versus them trap. You want to belong. Everyone does. It's ancient, tribal, rooted in survival. We form groups to feel safe, seen, strong. But the moment there's a we, there's a them. And once they exist, the mind does something strange. It starts to see them as less smart, less moral, less human. And if they're less human, hurting them feels less wrong. This is the us versus them trap. We've seen it in every war, every genocide, every purge, but it doesn't begin with bullets or bombs. It begins with language, rats, vermin, cockroaches, parasites. Strip away the human, and cruelty becomes righteousness. You don't have to look far. Watch the news. Read the comment sections. The labels are everywhere. Conservative, liberal, immigrant, elite, terrorist, traitor. Suddenly, it's not just a difference of opinion. It's a moral war. And in war, anything goes. The brain loves simplicity. Black versus white. Good versus evil. But real life isn't like that. Real life is messy. People are complicated. But when we join a group, we're given a script. Loyalty becomes virtue. Dissent becomes betrayal. And empathy disappears. Even now, you might be in a group. Political, religious, cultural, online. Ask yourself, do I still see individuals or just enemies? Because the moment you stop seeing people is the moment you become capable of anything. 4. Self-justification, the mind's favorite. Illusion. You think you're a good person. That belief is precious, sacred, and when you do something wrong, that belief gets threatened. But the mind is clever. It protects you. It tells a different story. I had no choice. They deserved it. I was just protecting myself. This is self-justification, the most dangerous trick your brain can play, because once you justify something, it becomes easier to repeat. Cheat once, lie once, hurt once, then say it was necessary. Say it was fair, and the guilt fades. The further you go, the more distorted your memory becomes. You forget what really happened. You remember only your version, the one that makes you feel right. This is how genocides are rationalized, how dictators sleep soundly, how abusers see themselves as victims. This is how you, yes, you, could do something terrible and still feel like a good person. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts with bending a rule, then bending the truth, then bending your own identity until it snaps. And all the while, you believe you're doing what's right because the villain never sees themselves as the villain. The scariest lies are the ones you tell yourself. 5. Dehumanization, the final step. There's a moment, one final shift, when the person in front of you stops being a person. They become a problem, a threat, an obstacle, an object. And once that happens, the rules don't apply anymore. This is dehumanization, the last step in the descent, when empathy shuts down, when cruelty becomes effortless, when harm feels justified. Every genocide begins here. Every lynching, every torture cell, every online witch hunt. Dehumanization doesn't require hate, just distance, a label, a mask, a screen. Suddenly, it's not Ahmed or Lisa. It's terrorist, criminal, scum. You don't feel guilt because you don't feel anything. You flip the switch, and when that happens, there are no limits. History is full of ordinary people who did monstrous things, not because they were evil, but because they were told the victims weren't really people. You see it in war, in politics, on social media, right now. And the worst part, it works. Because when you no longer see someone as human, you can do anything to them and sleep just fine. But if you pause, really pause, and look someone in the eyes, everything changes. Empathy is a choice. So is cruelty. And that choice starts with how you see the people around you, as humans, or something else. Closing, you are not immune. And that is where your power begins. By now, you've seen the pattern, the slow unraveling, the 5 forces that don't shout, but whisper. The terrifying truth is this: you are not immune. No one is. And that's not a reason to fear. It's a reason to wake up. Because once you realize you're vulnerable, you can begin to protect yourself. You can ask the hard questions. Is this right or just normal? Am I obeying because I believe or because I'm afraid? Do I still see the person in front of me as a person or just a label? You don't need perfection, you need awareness. You don't need certainty, you need reflection. You don't need to be a hero, you need to not be asleep. The line between good and evil is not drawn in the sand, it's drawn inside you, and it moves every day with every choice. So ask yourself, what direction are you moving?